تبارك اسم ربك ذي الجلال والإكرام.
Welcome to the channel, everybody. And I know I haven't been active and I haven't uploaded in a while. I've just had a lot of things going on, alhamdulillah. But I am, inshallah, going to be posting more frequent. And I'm going to be speaking about more political things as well, because I think it's important for us Muslims to be in tune with politics and to know what's going on around us, okay? But anyway, today, what I want to talk about is a topic that's been quite controversial recently. If you watch my videos, you already know, the whole beef with Daniel Haqiqatjou and a bunch of da'is. So that's what I want to talk about. Okay. So what's happening right now is Daniel Haqiqatjou is being accused of undermining Tawheed and validating shirk. And a whole group of Muslim da'is, they just signed a document publicly disassociating themselves from Daniel. And I'm here to tell you why I think this entire situation is not only wrong, but it's also hypocritical. Not because I agree with Daniel on everything. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Daniel on. But because what's happening right now reveals something really broken about how we handle disagreements in the Muslim community. And honestly speaking, some of the people on that list that signed this document have absolutely no business pointing fingers at anybody. All right? So look, I'm nobody special, okay? I'm just a Muslim in a basement somewhere, sharing my thoughts and opinions on matters that are happening around me. I'm definitely not a scholar, and I'm 100% not a big da'wah personality. But I have studied and I have read enough to know that something is off here. And not just that, my fitrah itself is also telling me that something does not feel right about this whole situation. Like I said, I don't agree with Daniel on everything. Although I respect him very much and I think the work that he does is very important, and I have learned a lot from him. And I appreciate the work that he does. But he has gone after scholars that I also personally enjoy listening to, scholars that I learned from. But that does not mean that I'm going to pile up on him when he is being treated unfairly. And that's exactly what's happening right now. He's being treated unfairly, and I believe that they are not giving him his rights as a Muslim. So let me be clear from the very beginning, okay? On this specific issue, the Tawheed issue, I'm more in line with Daniel's stance. I think if people actually watch his content and listen to what he says versus what other people say he says, I don't think he's promoting Tawheed at all. And I'll talk about that shortly, okay? Like I said, I don't agree with everything he says. But he does raise legitimate questions about certain theologies, about certain theological interpretations that deserve answers and not condemnation. Because he's asking for dialogue and debate. And instead, he's pretty much getting bullied. People are like acting like a mob and just giving public statements. And most importantly, the person leading the charge on this, which is Jake, okay? I think he has shown some hypocrisy on who he chose to condemn and who he chose to protect, specifically from people on that list. Now, first, let's talk about the document itself, okay? Like I said, a bunch of da'wah personalities, that's what they call themselves in that document. They got together and they publicly disassociated themselves from Daniel. And to be honest, here's what blows my mind about this. That these same people, they show more harshness towards Daniel than they do actual enemies of Islam, like Sam Shamoun or like, Dog Logic. Like these people, I've seen some of them literally every single day. Oh, I want to debate him. Let's debate. Tell that guy to come debate, blah, blah, blah. But when something as important as Tawheed is coming, you don't want to debate that with a Muslim, with another Muslim. In fact, you're being so harsh on him that you're completely excommunicating him. But where's that energy when it comes to the enemies of Islam? Actual enemies of Islam. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is Daniel himself, he has been asking for a dialogue, but they won't give it to him. Daniel has repeatedly called for a debate. He said, let's sit down, let's discuss things. Bring your evidences and I'll bring mine. Let's talk about what the classical scholars actually said. Let's have an open discussion. But again, like the response, what has the response been? It's all been just people being either quiet, they deflect, or like what they did, public condemnation, without giving him a chance to defend himself. Now, here's the thing. Now, everything that I'm talking about is from the apparent, right? Maybe there's things happening in private that we don't know about. But from what I know, if you don't fix something in private, you take it out to the public. And you guys have not done that yet in terms of actual debate. You guys are acting like babies. And this kind of goes to both sides, sometimes. This guy does a video, this guy does a video back, and then he does a video back, and we're kind of sick of it. Sit down, have a debate, bring your evidence. The only person from that list who did sit down and talk to Daniel, okay, was Adnan Rashid. And here's the thing, Adnan Rashid, he's kind of a giant in this. He's done a lot. He has a whole Dawah organization. I think it's called IREA or something like that. They do Dawah everywhere, right? He's done a lot of good for the Muslim Ummah. But I think just in this case, he's being unfair, and I'm just calling it out how I see it, and I'm not scared to do that. Like, for example, I believe in that when he sat down with Daniel, it turned into an 8-hour podcast, for example, right? And nobody's going to watch 8 hours, even though, I watched 8 hours of it. I did it in like 1.5 speed. But even when I watched that debate, to be 100% honest, I was very surprised because Adnan Rashid was dodging a lot of questions. Like a specific question that Daniel was asking, okay, for that, is, for example, he said, is calling upon other than Allah shirk? What is the ruling on Sunnis today who do this, including Ash'aris, Maturidis, and mainstream Sunni speakers? Are they deviant or not? Like, this was a direct question. And Adnan, the way he would answer this, he wouldn't answer it directly. He would always beat around the bush. Why? Because I think he has people that work with him. He goes on panels with people that are Maturidi. Maybe, I don't know if he goes with Ash'aris or not, but I know for sure he goes on panels with people that are Maturidi, so he doesn't want to insult them, right? But if you're going to talk about this topic and condemn somebody, you're gonna have to answer questions that are gonna be tough to answer, like these ones, and put people on the spot. Give us your clear stance on this matter. But he would answer that question, for example, instead of saying, "Oh, yes, they're deviant," or "Yes, they're not," he would say, "Calling upon other than Allah is dangerous. It resembles shirk. Scholars warn strongly against it." Stuff like that. So he's answering, is the act wrong? But he's not answering, are these people, are they Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah? He's not answering that question. So either this is the thing that's good about Daniel. At least when you ask him, he will give you exactly what he thinks. He will give you his stance. He won't beat around the bush. So again, like, if you truly believe that Daniel was so obviously wrong, and if you truly believed his position was dangerous and that your position was correct, wouldn't you jump at the opportunity to debate him publicly? Wouldn't you want the platform to show everyone the truth and correct his errors? But no, they won't do it. And I think I know why they won't do it. I think they won't do it because they don't have good answers to a lot of the points that he's raised in his documentary. I think it's literally that simple. The only person, no, I'm not even going to get into that. But anyway, so again, when you can't defend your position in open dialogue, okay, but you gather like signatures for public condemnation, it tells you everything that you need to know. Like at this point, this is not defending the truth. This is just protecting your reputation and your friends' reputations. It's kind of a form of tribalism. So now I'm going to tell you like what I think Daniel and his interpretations are. This is from me, from my own thoughts. You know, I might be wrong, but this is what I've heard him say, and I've seen him, and I've spoken to him. You know, I've actually spoken to him in the past. I think this is what he means by this. So he's not saying shirk is okay. He's not saying tawheed doesn't matter. And he's definitely not telling people to go make dua to graves or to commit acts of polytheism. In fact, he has made statements himself completely saying that this is wrong. You shouldn't be doing this. He's against this completely. Okay? But what he is saying is that there's a certain movement that has taken issues, okay, of tawheed, for example, and they've broadened it, and they've started takfiring people that are not meant to be takfired. Okay? They're taking issues that classical scholars had legitimate differences of opinion about, and they turn these issues into black and white tests of faiths, where if you disagree with anything, that's it, you have left Islam. And that's not how this stuff works. I'm sorry. It's not how it works. Like, okay. And all of us know, brothers and sisters, wallahi, all of us know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? He warned us severely about declaring another Muslim to be a kafir. This is one of the heaviest things that you can do in Islam. When you do this, right, you are gambling. You're gambling 50% with your akhirah. Like humble yourself, seriously. You need absolute certainty, clear evidence, and you need to establish conditions. And even when you have all those, you still proceed with extreme caution. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people now these days that are doing dawah, okay? You see them on TikTok. Wallahi, they will takfir like it's water. Takfir here, takfir there, takfir, everywhere. You get a takfir, you get a takfir, everybody gets a takfir. Just takfir everybody. It's very, like it's sad. It's sad to see this. But this is what happens when you extend the definition of shirk so broadly that you start labeling other Muslims and Muslims who pray 5 times a day, who fast, who believe in Allah and His messengers as polytheists. This is how real damage is created in the ummah. And what Daniel is saying, he's saying, wait, you guys, slow down. Look at what the scholars are actually saying. Let's not be so quick to make these massive judgments about other Muslims. And somehow, that's a dangerous position now. And that's where the real danger is, guys. The real danger is that there's the mindset where you're gonna quickly takfir someone or declare somebody a kafir. That's where the danger is in that mindset. So this goes beyond Daniel as a person, okay? This is about whether the Muslim community is going to allow space for intellectual discussion and scholarly debate, or whether we're going to turn into a mob that attacks anyone who challenges our particular group's interpretation. The great scholars of our past, the people we all claim to respect, they debated each other, sometimes intensely. They even wrote refutations about one another. Sometimes their refutations were harsh, okay? But they did it with adab. They did it with adab. They did it with the understanding that some of these issues were complex. and sincere and intelligent Muslims could reach different conclusions. It's fine. So here's what I'm going to say, okay? All I know is that I know I'm not alone in supporting Daniel. I know there's a lot of people out there who support Daniel and appreciate the work that he's done. People who see the problems I'm seeing might be afraid to speak up, okay, because of what we're witnessing now. There, you might be, especially me. Like, I have a small YouTube channel. I have everything to lose, right? But I don't care. I think this is the right thing to do. I think this is to stand up for your Muslim brothers and sisters. When you see something wrong is happening, you stand up for it, whether you agree or disagree. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and this is wrong. Give him a debate, guys. Give him a debate. Sit down with him. Talk to him. Let's see who's right and who's wrong. Let the people decide. So yeah, that's all I have to say for this. May Allah guide us all to the truth and give us the courage to stand for justice, even when it's uncomfortable. I mean, so yeah, if you guys made it this far, please share your thoughts in your comments, but keep it respectful. And if you think this conversation matters, share this video, because discussions like this need to happen, whether certain people want them to or not, okay? And that's really all I have to say. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.